It's finally time to start planting our spring flowering bulbs. In Oklahoma, the best time to plant them is basically through the month of October and November till Thanksgiving. And so you've got a good stretch of time here to get those bulbs in the ground. So if you don't have them yet, don't panic, but it is time to go out and start getting those bulbs. Well, as you're looking for bulbs, there are a few things that I want to remind you that you want to look over your bulbs really well. And you want to make sure that they don't have disease and that they're not mushy. This is a nice tulip bulb. It's nice and firm. Now, you'll notice that the bulbs have an outer covering on them. This is called the tunic, and this kind of helps protect the bulb. Now, if the tunic is ripped or a little bit of it is missing, that's okay, because while it does help keep the bulb from drying out, it's not essential that it be all intact. Now, if it's totally gone, you might want to look at the bulb very closely and make sure that it's not dried out. But a tunic like this, where we've got a few rips in it, is great. Now, the other thing that you want to think about is the larger the bulb, the larger the flower you're going to have. It's just got more food there. Your flower is probably better developed. And that doesn't mean that all bulbs are huge. And the case in point here I want to make is these are tete-a-tete. They're small, miniature daffodils, and you can see here that my bulb is not that big as compared to regular daffodil bulbs. However, these are the two of the exact same kind of bulb, and this one will have much better flowering than this bulb. This bulb will probably have to develop another year. So, compared to the size of yours, the larger the bulb, the better the chance of flowering. Now, bulbs are really easy and a wonderful way to add color in the spring. And if you take just a few minutes to follow the directions when you're planting them, and most bulbs come with great directions on planting, but some of the general tips are plant them, most of them go in full sun areas. They need to be well drained. You want to plant them 2 to 3 times the height of the bulb to get those in. And generally, if you dig a hole like I've done here and put them in there spaced out, don't space them all evenly. Put a few maybe a little bit closer together than others so it looks like a naturalized planting. But those are basically all the things that you need to follow to get a good result with your bulbs. Mainly, don't plant them in a place where it's not well drained, where water will sit, because that will cause them to rot. Now, the reason that bulbs are so easy and get such great flowering is basically you've got a pre-packaged flower. Everything is there for that bulb to bloom next spring. Now, this is a hyacinth bulb that I've cut in half, and you can see the layers here, but this little thing right here, that's the hyacinth flower. I don't know if you can see that there. It's already developed down inside, and it's just basically waiting for a chilling period, and then in the spring it will start growing. So everything is there. Now, that is another reason why if you bring your bulbs home and you're going to force them, or you just want to store them in a cooler area, you don't want to put them in the refrigerator where you're going to have any fruit like apples that are ripening, because what will happen is as that fruit ripens, it lets off ethylene. And what the ethylene does is kill that flower down inside there. So if you need to store them in a cool area, be sure it's away from fruit. Now, in America, we love our bulbs. We plant over 1.6 billion, that's with a B, bulbs. This year we'll be putting them in the ground, and most of those come from Holland. Now, you might think that we've all gone bulb crazy, but did you know that there actually was a major bulb craze in Holland in the 1600s? It was called tulip mania, and you may have heard about that before on the news or in reading. And tulip mania was basically speculative buying of bulbs. People bought bulbs, they sold their homes, they sold their land to speculate on bulbs, kind of like the stock market. What happened was the prices got so overvalued that they finally crashed. You can basically say it was the first stock market crash, and it sent the economy of Holland into a spiral for several years. Now, artists of the day kind of picked up on this, and they were basically the political cartoonists of the day. So there are several paintings kind of making fun of the craze in bulbs in Holland. Well, luckily, we don't have to speculate on bulbs anymore today. They're wonderful, and just a little bit of time now can help you have a beautiful surprise in the spring. Now, if you're wondering, as you go out to buy your tulip bulbs or your hyacinth or whatever kind of bulbs you want, how many you need to fill a certain area, we've got a handy chart that we want to tell you, kind of give you a guide on how many that you need. And to start with, For tulips, you need probably 8 to 10 per square foot. Hyacinths, 5 per square foot. Daffodils, again, 5 per square foot. Crocus and your smaller bulbs, you'll need 10 to 15 per square foot. If you're planting some of the gigantic alliums, 1 per square foot. Allium Purple Sensation, which is kind of a medium allium, is 5 per square foot. And some of the other smaller ones, just 10 to 15 of them per square foot is great. You can use this as a guide so you kind of know, okay, I've got 3 square feet to cover. I'll know how many bulbs I need to stick in. And get out there and start planting those bulbs now so that you'll have a wonderful surprise, colorful surprise in the spring.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.